Hi, I'm Ann Goldberg.
And I'm Jane Sloat.
And this is Wisdom of the Age. So the holidays are here. And it occurred to me that for a lot of people, especially seniors, it's a really tough time of the year. Especially seniors who've experienced a loss, in the last year or so. And there are a whole series of things. And I want to invite Jane to put her considerable wisdom into this subject while I just get something.
Well, any holidays at all where people come together and where you remember things from the past when you were together with family or whoever can be a source of great unhappiness, depression even, or joy. And so people who are missing somebody who, for whatever reason, that people during this time in December get very depressed.
Yeah, there are a lot of factors too. I mean, in today, I want to address, sort of the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I think we went immediately to what's the elephant in the room, which is this seasonal depression, this holidays for so many people, not for everybody. For everybody, it's the good, it's the joy, it's nothing but great. Family comes in, and there's laughter and love, and it's wonderful.
Oh my God.
Jane is having an allergy attack to the dog, so I'm just gonna let Jane talk for a minute and bring Rue into another room.
It's just very, I don't know. It doesn't bother me so much, but, excuse me, but I just can't talk because I'm sneezing. We have a lot of, go ahead, you continue because I'm coughing.
Oh my, well, hang on one more second, hang on. Here you go.
Thanks.
Okay, so, there's the good. There is the bad, where you feel financially strapped. A lot of people judge themselves. They're unable to get the kind of gifts that maybe they once were able to do. The holidays become a reminder of maybe a fall from grace or a time that was easier, and it can easily lead someone to start feeling badly about themselves. And I guess that's part of this whole, I read something online from Psychology Today, and they talked about nutritional epigenetics, and I was hooked. So for a lot of people, and the bad and the ugly are very connected to this nutritional epigenetics. And what they mean, if you understand epigenetics, it's the science that says that our lifestyle is much more impactful on our health than our genetics. That genetics account for maybe 5 to possibly 15%.
Yeah, and let's just make sure we understand that it's what's passed down. It gets passed down.
The genetics.
Epigenetics.
Well, epigenetics too, but
it gets passed down.
That's getting a little complicated. But just keeping it for right here, right now. What you do, how you eat, how you think, how you move your body directly impacts happiness levels.
Right.
And that's what this article was all about. How this understanding that if the holidays come and you find yourself feeling depressed, even if things are good, but as the meals and the parties and the food march on, and suddenly you find yourself going down some rabbit hole of pain or depression, Psychology Today is suggesting, as is extensive research on it, biological psychiatry, psychiatric research, that suggests that if you remove the processed foods, remove the sugar, everything we always talk about, eat clean whole food, that can change.
Right, but what I was saying before is very relevant because the epigenetic factor means that you have inherited things from your parents or a parent that sometimes you're not even responsible for, and there's no reason that you would get depressed. Sometimes depression, for example, you're very susceptible to things like depression at the very least. And anything can set off that depressive episode.
Genetically, you mean?
Yeah, because that's what it means. Epigenetics.
Yeah, but what we know is that, and they're very clear on this in the studies, there's so many studies, between 5 and 15% of the disease that humans experience, only 5 to 15% is genetically based. And of course, a genetic tendency to depression could be something that's going to poke its nose through irrespective of lifestyle choices.
I'm absolutely not disagreeing with you.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that epigenetically, that if you come from a family where there's a lot of mental illness, schizophrenia, a lot of serious mental issues, mental problems, you really better be careful what you eat. You'd better be careful what your lifestyle is, because you are genetically predisposed to being crazy at a certain time in your life. And anything can set it off.
That makes perfect sense, 100%.
Right.
Anything can set it off. Once you are biologically predisposed and then make lifestyle choices such as bombarding your body with processed foods. Keep in mind, I mean, think of this metaphor, the automobile. Now, I could cook up a whole pan of bacon as an example and be left with all this grease. Now, I've got a car sitting outside. Why couldn't I take that bacon grease and use it to grease my car? And I've got some oils here in my pantry. Why can't I put those oils in the tank?
Yeah, the only difference is people don't realize that what they wouldn't put in the tank of their car,
they put in their bodies.
They'll put into the tank of their mouth.
The reason we wouldn't put those things in the car is because the car wouldn't operate properly.
Correctly.
It would probably break down.
It absolutely would break down.
And the body's the same way.
Exactly.
So especially when the holidays come, and because I'm gluten-free and dairy-free, for me, I'm very aware of what's put out. And 100% of the time, unless I'm going to somebody's home who's also gluten-free, there's almost nothing that I can eat because it has one of those two things. And you may say, well, that's just you, Ann. Yes and no.
It's also me.
It's us, because over time, our bodies have developed sensitivities for various reasons, all having to do with gut imbalance.
Right, and
all of it.
And actually, we're the lucky ones
because
our gut is already sending us, be careful, because what happens is people get cancer.
Right.
They don't feel those symptoms, and then they just get really badly ill.
And it might not be cancer, it might be dementia.
Right, it can be anything.
It can be
any
anything.
Degenerative, debilitating illness.
So, when it comes to the holidays, and if you find yourself going down some rabbit hole, there are a lot of reasons that can lead you there, but the primary one that has primed the pump is how you eat. So I'm not saying don't eat anything. I'm not saying avoid everything, because that's not realistic. But balance it. Don't have a whole plate full. Have a couple. Balance it with some fresh food, salads, other things that are fresh and not processed.
In other words, just have a little poison.
Well, yeah, because because it's unrealistic. If I say avoid it all,
well, it might be.
There's a backlash.
It might. So, all right, that's tough for people who don't realize that if they don't get it together, that they're going to suffer.
Somewhere. You got to start somewhere.
Well, true, but
awareness.
Yeah, true.
Awareness.
But I just stopped eating it all.
Well, and I stopped eating gluten, and I stopped eating dairy because I had immediate effects. And it happened again. I had a 10-day asthma attack because it came 36 hours after I ate dairy for the second day in a row. And that just, it's just remarkable how it happens. So for me, there's a very clear cause and effect, and I'm not crossing that line. But I don't want to make this about me. I want to give the people who are watching and listening tools, okay? So one of the tools that you have if you have holiday-related depression is to look at what you're eating. Another tool is to move your body. Are you exercising? Are you walking? Here in Florida, the weather has been so unbelievably gorgeous that I get out and I've been walking several times a day and just really enjoying it. And I find my mood is really much better. And there's studies that support this. So are you getting outside? Are you moving your body, connecting with nature? Both of these things go together.
Of course. It's a mind, body, brain thing. It's all connected.
And then what happens? Let's say you're okay. You're going through the holidays and you're okay, but you have family members, maybe parents or others who are very close friends who have had a loss. And this time of year, it opens a wound that hasn't healed.
Right, there are people missing at the table.
Yeah, exactly. So I was thinking about what are things that we can do, especially at this time of year, which I really look at as a season of peace and love, of miracles and peace and love. The month of December is just filled with this. So with this sort of thought, what are the things that you can do when you know someone who is hurting? So one of the things I read, first of all, you can get them outside, go visit them, and most importantly, give them the opportunity to talk and listen. Just listen. Most of the time, there's very little you can say. They don't want you to say anything.
Or do.
Right. Just listen. Be the sponge that allows them to just, and you can wring yourself out after. You don't have to carry that energy with you. But just listen. That's probably the most powerful thing you can do for somebody. And then, once they've gotten that, do something with them. Go out for a walk if you're able. That's the number one thing I would suggest. If the weather does not support that, if you can't get in the car and go somewhere for a ride, think of an activity. What can you do? Maybe go through pictures and create a scrapbook of the loved one. Maybe start a legacy project of that person and help your friend or father or mother or whomever, brother, sister, to create that person's legacy. Gather photos, remember stories, record them, videograph them, hire me, and we'll do a book or a movie on that person. But the point is that give them an activity that positively reconstructs that time and brings those experiences back for them. And that will give them comfort. Lessons learned. Have your friend think about what did they gain from this relationship? How are they a better person? And how can that be passed along to somebody else? Getting that person to volunteer. On Thursday this week, the 20th, tomorrow, I'm going to be at a soup kitchen giving out holiday dinners because I think that's just, it's so important. And for so many, we serve hundreds of people. And for so many of them, this is the only time of year that they're given to feel that they matter in any way, that people are going out of their way to think about them. And it's such a fulfilling thing to do. So volunteering in any way, for any reason, to any cause, will help somebody overcome depression. Any thoughts about that?
Yeah, it's, let's not forget about people who religiously,
Mm-hmm.
religion-wise, don't fit in to, for example, the Christmas time. People who are Jewish, I know I always felt left out, and then I had to create my own special thing. And I was always so happy when Christmas and Hanukkah came at the same time.
Isn't that where the Hanukkah bush came from?
Well, yeah, but I won't.
More teasing.
But it can be problematic on different levels. You know, people say, "Merry Christmas," and okay, you could say Merry Christmas, but or I say, well, happy your Hanukkah or something.
I say one of two things. I either say happy HanaRamaKwanzMas, so I cover them all, or I just go, I wish you a merry happy, or a happy merry, either way. And that sort of covers it without saying too much. And people get the idea that I'm just expressing.
Yeah.
So that's how I've come, because I don't want to say Merry Christmas because I am Jewish.
Right.
And
You are?
yeah,
Really?
yeah, around the edges. Not as Jewish as you are.
I thought your name was a little funny.
It's Goldberg. And I do have a HanaRamaKwanzMas tree in my home with a sign in front of it that says, welcome to the HanaRamaKwanzMas tree, celebrating the season of peace and love, because I really believe this, and because it was my way of figuring out how to deal with all of this for my children when they were growing up, because I wasn't very attached to Judaism. And so we did it all. Everything happened all sort of together, and it worked for us. I mean, everybody's entitled to do it their way. And now I have Hanukkah parties and Christmas parties because my family is both. And I don't want anybody feeling disrespected. As long as we love each other, I really don't care about these other trappings. I won't say trappings, but these other beliefs. You know, I want to focus on the happiness of the time. So that's really the holidays, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Can we say happy holidays? Yeah, of course we can say happy holidays. Thanks, Natalia. Yeah, why not? You can say happy holidays. But to me, that's like have a nice day. It has no meaning. It's a rote statement that when service people say to me, have a nice day, I just want to go, you don't really
Or have a good one.
Well, what I might say is, I wish you a nice day, which is something that's, I'm not commanding you to do something, but I am expressing that I really hope that happens for you. And I find that to be a little more palatable for me. It's not so rote. I actually have to think about it to say that. So happy holidays, maybe I wish you happy holidays. But to just say happy holidays, that's like going, yeah, have a nice day. For me, anyway.
Well, I think it was really meant not to
Offended.
single anybody out.
Right. And there we go back to political correctness. And there is a certain respect. I mean, listen, I was at the Soweto Choir last night at the Parker Playhouse here in Fort Lauderdale. And I mean, that's a group from South Africa, and they are 100% Christian. And they sang hymns. It was December 19th. They sang, 18th rather, they sang hymns, and at the end they finished with Christmas songs. And I was on my feet cheering for them because they were spectacular. And I had no problem in that venue wishing people Merry Christmas because it's nice. So I have respect for that. It's not that I would sit and go, oh, happy holiday. No, Merry Christmas. You deserve that. I acknowledge that. And I feel respected when somebody who's not Jewish during Hanukkah says to me, Happy Hanukkah.
Yeah, well, that's how it should be.
Thank you. That's good.
That's how it should be.
So any other, let's see, we have some more ideas of how to help people who are going through a hard time. if you can't visit them, which is the number one, visit them, listen, and get them outside, right? Would you say that's about?
Yeah, yeah. But I tend to go overboard. And once I start with somebody, I just can't let go of it.
What do you mean?
You know, I get too involved. And then I start deep.
Well, tell me, Jane, why do you feel the need to get so involved?
Because I'm a therapist. It's just, you know, I feel so bad when people feel bad. That it's better for me not to go too close to it, because then I get sucked into everything.
I've learned to have boundaries. I help when I can, in ways that I can.
That's it, and me too.
So sometimes listening is on the phone.
That's right.
Or on
Yeah,
the phone.
me too. Yes.
It may not be a visit for me, but if you're not like Jane and you have the capacity to do so, the best thing you could do is sit with that person. And of course, yeah, you need healthy boundaries, because that person may see you as a lifeline and cling on to you in a way that drags you down, and that's not okay.
Right.
So you have to have boundaries to be able to say, this I can do, but this I cannot. I'm so sorry. I'm unable to do that for you. So I think those are important distinctions.
Yeah, it's an important distinction, but in fact, doing it for like an old person who has nobody, and how do you just tell her I'm sorry? I can't do that, so I won't even start the first level of it. Because I wouldn't be able to live with myself. I have a very heavy guilt.
But what advice would maybe we should talk about that.
That's right.
But tell me, what advice would you give to somebody else, though? Not knowing
a normal
yourself.
person.
Yes, yeah, for a normal person.
Well,
what advice would you
I
give?
think that it is really important to always give what in Hebrew we call tzedakah. You have to be charitable with yourself, and you have to be charitable in different ways. Whatever you deem is the way that you can do it. I know when I first got married, my first marriage, we always invited somebody for the holidays who was needy to our table. And my kids go to soup kitchens. They all give. I mean, I wish I could give more.
Right, I do too. My schedule is busy, and where I choose to give, are my kids. My son and daughter-in-law, when they need
first.
me. Yeah, that comes first. And I can say no to them. I had to say no to them today, actually. They needed me, they asked if I could watch the baby. She's 9 months old. And I had this, and I have some other obligations, and I just can't do that. So they had to figure it out and work on that themselves. So, there's always a balance you have to strike when you're looking to help somebody else, and you have to know yourself. If you're somebody like Jane who can get really involved and not have that boundary, maybe it's a quick phone call. Hey, just letting you know that I'm thinking about you. All right. Can I drop something off? Do you need some food? I'll drop it off to you, but I can't stay. But that's like have a nice day. No, I don't think so.
Because it's not just going to be that one time that they're going to need something. That's the point.
You can say no.
You do it, okay, but who wants to say no to a really, really needy person? It's cruel. Better not to even start. That's what I feel.
We're going to agree to disagree on that, and I'm going to put it out there that you make an effort to help somebody.
Well, of course
and
you
do.
But you see
who that person is.
Yeah, first you see who it is. The less needy people,
You can't let somebody cross your boundaries of self-protection.
Of course not, but we're not talking about that. We're talking about the guilt that some people could feel, not just letting the person go, because you can't keep up helping them. You can't keep on helping them.
No, you can't. And guilt is a lot of energy for not very much. effect.
Well, maybe, but some people have a very strong, whatever you want to call it.
Right. But I would encourage anybody listening to this. I mean, we've talked about emotions like guilt. Guilt, you know, it's like carrying, guilt is unforgiveness for yourself. And unforgiveness is like taking poison and hoping, unforgiveness for somebody else is like taking poison and hoping they die.
That's not completely right.
Well, but guilt, when you hold on to guilt, and believe me, I deal with guilt all the time.
We're not
just
talking
this
about that kind of guilt. We're talking about
guilt
not
is guilt.
personal. No, it's not. It's not, but we can't talk now about that.
Right. Well, but I think the point of this whole conversation with the holidays and the good and the bad and the ugly is that if it's good for you, oh, that's so wonderful.
Right.
We are thrilled.
But think of
and
other
enjoy
people. Think of other people. There are needy people. And just do something good because it'll save your place in the world to
And
come.
that's the bad, that there are needy people.
There are a lot of needy people.
And the ugly is when you can't separate your needs from theirs. But if you know somebody who's dealing with loss, you
That's
know,
right. Yeah, like
these are strategies that you can implement
I
to
took
help them.
a bag of my husband's old clothes and I went around on all the streets to all the street people and I just gave them all something.
So there's always something you can do to create goodness during this time.
That's
Even
right.
if it's not a time that's really the best in your life. By the choices you can make lemonade from those lemons. And it's with that thought that I want to wish everybody a very merry, happy. And I wish for you love.
Merry Christmas.
Love. Yeah, and that too. Lots of love. This is Ann Goldberg.
And Jane Sloat. Bye.
Bye, everybody.